Hi guys, JT here. Today I'm bringing you some information on the Humble Bundle Xbox Game Studios Bundle of May 2025 to help you answer the question, should you buy it? By using the links in the description below, you'll gain access to this bundle and have the opportunity to gain early access to videos from buying a coffee through Buy Me a Coffee or Ko-Fi. Your support means the world to me, and I genuinely appreciate it. Anyway, let's get into this. And number 1 we have Wasteland 3, a role-playing game that seems to be a blend of Fallout and XCOM. This game takes place in the endless snow of Colorado after the apocalypse. You play as characters in a squad of desert rangers who are out of your depth. You're sent up north to broker a deal with the prosperous local leader for supplies that your base really needs. This means helping the patriarch of Colorado Springs round up his rebellious offspring. The problem is that they're all adults, and each of them has joined some really weird factions, from Ronald Reagan worshippers to Hispanic murder clowns. You're quickly shoved into the politics of the different factions. This game plays similarly to XCOM during battle, but with more heavy RPG elements where decisions and responses you make or give to other characters will determine how your story goes. As an example, letting an enemy go at some point in the game will spring a trap for you later on. Or, if you don't let the enemy go and you decide to kill them, a potential recruit into your party will be killed. This also means that you can play through this game's 60-hour base campaign multiple times, just to see what happens when you make different decisions. In terms of combat, when your character attacks, your strike meter goes up, which will eventually allow you to unleash a precision strike attack, which is sort of a limited special ability. Most guns' special abilities allow you to precisely shoot specific body parts like in Fallout. Some other weapons have their own precision strikes, like rocket launchers gain a radioactive bonus, essentially turning it into a nuke. You'll have access to some NPC sidekicks like various animals, robots, and humans. Because you can't control them, they'll most likely do stupid things like charging head-on at a group of enemies only to be utterly murdered, or even walking through a pit of fire or radiation to be melted into a pile of bloody mess. Some fights will include interesting scenarios to keep things somewhat fresh, like sometimes you get to bring your car with a mounted cannon, and often you can stealth into position before attacking your enemy if your character has the sneaky shit skill for bonus damage. In addition, the story is quite engaging with some interesting characters like the alcoholic comedian Scotchmo and the taunting serial killer Vic. Characters are fully voiced and have full facial expressions, making the world feel more alive. The same can't be said for your playable characters and party members though, as there is no way to talk to them except by wandering around hoping to stumble over a conversation trigger. Wasteland 3 offers a decent story that blends seriousness and silliness into one, and a challenging yet engaging turn-based gameplay. And number 2 we have Quantum Break, a cinematic story-rich sci-fi action game that fuses third-person shooting with live-action TV episodes to create a one-of-a-kind experience. You play as Jack Joyce, a man caught in a catastrophic time fracture, armed with time manipulation powers, and facing off against a former friend turned time-warping villain. The storytelling is ambitious, letting your choices shape both gameplay and the live-action show that follows each act. This format makes Quantum Break feel like a binge-worthy TV series intertwined with the game. It stars recognizable talent like Shawn Ashmore and Aidan Gillen, and the performances are genuinely compelling. Combat starts strong, dashing through time, freezing enemies mid-motion, and tossing time bombs feels slick and satisfying. But as the game progresses, you might find the shooting a bit repetitive, especially when the flashier enemies begin to resist your powers. The final boss battle in particular is a noticeable difficulty spike that could frustrate you into lowering the difficulty just to finish. Visually, it still looks impressive for a 2016 title, and it runs surprisingly well on platforms like the Steam Deck with a few tweaks. However, performance issues and stuttering have been reported, which can break immersion in a game all about fractured time. If you're into strong narratives, sci-fi themes, and experimental formats, Quantum Break is worth playing. Just be prepared for a few rough edges. It may not be flawless, but its bold approach to storytelling makes it a memorable ride. And number 3 we have As Dusk Falls, a gripping interactive drama that plays like a comic book you can't put down. You don't control a character in the traditional sense. Instead, you make decisions and complete quick-time events that shape the story. While this might sound limiting, the format is surprisingly compelling. Once you're in, all you want is to see what happens next. The story kicks off with a tense motel standoff, intertwining the fates of two very different families. The Walkers dealing with everyday issues, and the Holts desperate for cash. Saying more would spoil the experience, and trust me, you don't want that. Visually, it's a motion comic, with real actors' still images transitioning between scenes. It sounds jarring,
but you'll quickly get used to it, especially with sharp writing and excellent voice acting. Yes, that is Adam Jensen's voice. You'll care about these characters, agonize over choices, and feel the consequences. Even the QTEs, including a hilarious pair of dishwashing moments, add tension, and while multiplayer exists, you're better off playing solo for full immersion. But it's not perfect. Static faces sometimes break emotional moments, a few choices can be refined, and the ending, let's be blunt, it's pretty bad. Everyone gets the same final scene, no matter your choices. It feels like a betrayal of everything you've built. Still, As Dusk Falls is a standout narrative experience. If you want a game where your choices matter, until the very end anyway, this one's worth your time. Just brace yourself for that last scene. At number 4 we have Ori and the Will of the Wisps. A 2D platformer that expands on its predecessor with a bigger world, more abilities, and a surprising amount of combat. You'll leap, dash, and grapple through beautiful environments filled with puzzles, secret upgrades, and emotionally charged story moments. It is visually stunning. You'll often want to stop just to admire the glowing forests, crumbling ruins, and the lovable creatures that inhabit them. Movement is the game's strongest suit. You can double jump, launch off projectiles mid-air, dive through sand, and slingshot across chasms. These mechanics combine into exhilarating sequences where you'll chain moves together with perfect rhythm. When it clicks, it feels incredible. That alone makes much of the game worth playing, but not everything works as smoothly. Combat, while more complex than before, often feels messy. Enemies can interrupt you mid-combo, and visual clutter makes it hard to track Ori in battle. Boss fights and escape sequences add challenge, but can turn frustrating. Repeating long segments due to a single mistake becomes a chore. There are also design quirks, important upgrades that can be easily missed, and the autosave system is not always reliable. Still, the charm of the world and its characters shines through. Helping adorable creatures in a growing village and seeing their stories unfold adds heart to the adventure. Despite its inconsistencies, Will of the Wisp is a beautiful, challenging journey. If you can forgive its rough edges, you'll find a game that rewards persistence with some of the most magical moments in platforming. At number 5 we have Age of Empires Definitive Edition, a modern remaster of the iconic 1997 real-time strategy game that launched the legendary franchise. This edition upgrades the classic with 4K visuals, remastered sound, new narration, and support for up to 8-player multiplayer matches. At its core, it offers over 40 hours of updated campaign content and a scenario builder for creative play. However, while the visuals are undeniably sharper and the animation smoother, the experience feels inconsistent. You may enjoy the nostalgia, but the gameplay can be frustrating. AI pathfinding remains poor. Military units often wander aimlessly or get stuck. Campaign difficulty is erratic, and with the easy setting sometimes feeling punishing. And despite the definitive label, you can't play through the campaigns with the original graphics or music unless you mod the files manually. Multiplayer functionality is spotty at best. The community is small, and the technical issues often interrupt games. Meanwhile, the revamped soundtrack, though polished, lacks the atmosphere and charm of the original. Still, if you grew up with Age of Empires, there's something satisfying about seeing it revived with modern touches. The new UI is cleaner, the added voiceovers bring a fresh tone to missions, and for casual solo players or diehard fans, the game holds nostalgic value. Ultimately, this version is a visual overhaul more than a full revival. If you're looking for the classic experience with some flair, it delivers. Just don't expect perfection. This is a good remaster, but it is far from definitive. At number 6 we have Broken Age, a family-friendly hand-animated point-and-click adventure that blends whimsical storytelling with a nostalgic gameplay style. Designed by Tim Schafer and featuring voices from Elijah Wood, Jack Black, and Masasa Moyo, this game was born from a record-breaking crowdfunding campaign and delivers a coming-of-age tale that's charming and imaginative, at least for the first half. You follow two teens, Vela and Shay, in parallel stories across vastly different worlds. Switching between their narratives is smooth and often reveals clever interconnections, helping you piece together a mystery that's both intriguing and emotionally resonant. The writing is sharp and funny, with a memorable cast that includes sarcastic spoons, barfing trees, and existential druids. Its strongest asset is its personality, full of heart, humor, and a unique art style that's instantly recognizable. However, once you reach Act 2, that magic begins to fade. The second half retreads the same environments with increasingly obscure trial-and-error puzzles that test your patience more than your intellect. Some solutions feel unfair, relying on knowledge your characters should not realistically have, and the finale feels rushed, leaving you more confused than satisfied. Still, despite the uneven pacing and puzzle design, Broken Age is worth playing for its creativity, warmth, and nostalgic tone. If you grew up with classic adventure games, or simply want a unique narrative experience, it is easy to see why it holds a very positive rating on Steam. Just temper your expectations after Act 1, and you'll still find plenty to enjoy. At number 7 we have Sunset Overdrive. Initially released in 2014 and ported to PC in 2018, stands out as a vibrant and exciting open-world action game developed by Insomniac Games and published by Microsoft Studios. Offering a refreshing departure from the seriousness of other releases, Sunset Overdrive delivers a carefree, over-the-top experience that focuses on colorful mayhem and creativity rather than intricate storytelling. Set in the lively Sunset City, the game emphasizes traversal, allowing players to bounce, grind, wall run, and swing through the environment with remarkable fluidity. The movement system, reminiscent of Saints Row 4, adds an exhilarating dimension to exploration and combat. Sunset Overdrive thrives on its bombastic missions featuring excessive violence, quirky humor, and over-the-top scenarios. The game's combat, reminiscent of the Ratchet & Clank series, initially appears chaotic, but becomes coherent and responsive as players familiarize themselves with the diverse and humorous arsenal of weapons. While the PC port lacks the extensive customization options, it provides a visually pleasing experience, supporting resolutions up to 5K and offering multiple frame rate options. However, mouse and keyboard controls, though improved since launch, are still suboptimal, making a gamepad the preferred input method. Despite its visible age, Sunset Overdrive remains an enjoyable and unique gaming experience. The PC release unlocks the action's full potential with customizable settings, making it a valuable addition to Insomniac Games' catalog and a standout title for those seeking unbridled fun. At number 8 we have Battletoads, a short but wild revival of the cult classic. This sequel, arriving 26 years after its predecessor, is packed with both amusement and frustration. Clocking in at just 5 hours on normal difficulty, its brevity might leave you wanting more. The gameplay is a chaotic mix of genres, including beat-em-up action, Metroidvania segments, twin-stick shooter sequences, turbo tunnel levels, hacking minigames, and even rock, paper, scissors. While this variety may irate some purists, it provides welcome breaks from the intense combat and helps keep the experience fresh. The control scheme is simple to learn, but tricky to master, with numerous combos that can be confusing. Each Toad, Zitz, Rash, and Pimple has unique strengths and weaknesses, adding a layer of strategy as you cycle through them. The lack of online co-op is a drawback, leaving you to tackle the chaos solo or in local multiplayer. The game's aesthetic is a standout, with a 90s Nickelodeon cartoon vibe and a rocking soundtrack that complements the frenetic action. However, certain gameplay elements, like the infuriating ship reboot puzzle, can be overly vexing and disrupt the flow. The story is light and humorous, with self-aware outlandish jokes that hit more often than they miss. The writing and voice work shine, making the characters memorable and entertaining. Despite its flaws, Battletoads is a fun, nostalgic romp that captures the spirit of the original while adding modern twists. It may be short and sometimes frustrating, but it's an unforgettable ride for fans of old and new. And that's all for this bundle. This bundle is straight up cracked for just $10. If you're missing even a few of these titles, especially Ori, Quantum Break, or Age of Empires Definitive Edition, you're already getting your money's worth. Sure, it hits different if you already own half the lineup, but even then, it is still tempting. Between this, the Bullet Hell bundle, and the XCOM one, Humble's been on a rampage lately. Solid value, no fluff, just good games. In any case, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if this video was helpful, feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and maybe consider unlocking early access to videos or buying the channel or coffee. Special thanks to Terry D for subscribing to the Early Access Army, and Mr. TJ Gossage for buying the channel or coffee. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.